Hadn't planned this morning. Try to make a video of my old motorcycle. It's mostly a 1982 GL1100. It was a project I've had it a long time. It was a parts bike, had a bad transmission. I put a transmission in it. Actually, turns out that this here was the problem, the shifter. But I still had to pull it down and put the shifter in it, so I put the other transmission in it. I already had the transmission, bought it years ago. But the problem was this little piece of metal here broke off. The shifter mechanism, and it was causing it to overshift. That little piece of metal, long story short, keeps it from overshifting when you shift it. It rides on this little dude here, and it keeps it from shifting too far. Anyway, so of course it's an aftermarket tail light. Fender's off of a 1978, and I had to cut it, rebend it a little bit, and drill a couple holes to mount it. Of course, that's a custom seat. I bought that years ago off eBay. That's sheepskin and leather. That's real. And I didn't like it. I had it on another GL1100. And but when I built this bike recently, that was the only seat I had. I've started making another seat. I made that seat pan, and I bought a cover there. And there's a foam underneath there off of a 77 that I've reshaped a little bit. But at any rate, the paint color choice was to match the seat. That's Rust-Oleum hammered copper is the color. I've got gold on my registration as a color. The carburetors are for 1976. I like them. The carburetor kit's for 1975. I've had the carbs for years. They came in Ziploc bags, all took apart. I bought them off of Marketplace, actually. A man shipped them to me out of North Carolina. I'm in Virginia. My neighbor walked over one day and gave me 4 carburetor kits for 1975, so I put them in there. They burn a little richer than the 76. 75 through 76 carbs. I'm sorry, 75 through 77 carbs were the biggest diameter Goldwing carbs ever manufactured. So these are actually a little bigger than what come on this bike. The pipes, the headers are from 1977. And I had to weld a flange on it. And those pipes there are, I bought them from a Napa. They're new old stock, basically. And I've got a baffle in them, about 8 inches long. It's up in the front of that pipe, which gives me a pretty neat exhaust note, and they're burning good. Aftermarket shocks. Just put them on last night. I haven't rode it since I put them on. I've got wheel bearings coming for it. Got a slight chirp in the rear wheel. I don't know why. Ordered these emblems out of China. Imagine that. I screwed that horn on last night. I need to run a wire to it. It's got a horn on the other side, but this one here sound forward, a snail horn. Got new timing belts, new clutch, new water pump, did a valve job on it when I had it down. You see that temp gauge? It's on there for a reason. It's got two holes in this brake pedal. This thing had a sidecar on it. I cut the brackets off. I never seen the sidecar, but I know it was on there because I cut the brackets. I've got 3 of these fuel pumps around the shop, but I wanted an electric fuel pump. If I had a Goldwing run out of fuel or set a while and evaporate, you'll know that electric fuel pump comes in handy. Here's the reason. Well, I put that temp gauge on there. This is a 1978 front end. GL1000 front end. And people say it's a direct bolt up. Not exactly. I had to use the bearings out of the 1982. The headstock bearings out of the 82. And the spacing is a little different on the threads. At the top of here, it did work, but there are basically 2 sets of threads, I think, on here, and 1 set on the GL82. And also, I've got a rag on here, keep it from dripping on my engine. These, I got new brake cups coming for that. That's a 5/8 inch brake cup in that thing. It says so on the bottom of the master cylinder. And it drips a little. I've been riding it like that. But I'm going to put another brake cup in it, another master cylinder cup. But when I first put this front end on, it would only turn about that far because the stops were in the wrong place. They're different places on the stops. So I had to cut the stops off of. You can't see it because I painted it, but I had to cut the stops off of the bottom of the triple tree on this front end. The reason I put this front end on here because I bought this as a parts bike, and I robbed the front and rear shocks off of this bike and put on a 1980 that I restored. Of course, the windshield's aftermarket. That's a 19-inch front tire. It's not as easy to find as some of the other sizes. Now, here's a horn on here that I think that's off of a 77 or 78. I've got 2 parts bikes, see, 77, 78. I don't have enough parts to put a bike together, but this one here's the only one with the title. I guess I need to paint them mirrors. I put them on last night. I bought some other mirrors that stuck way up here. Look like bunny ears, but they had really good visibility. And I might shorten them and put them back on here. All this screen and fins, that's all off of a 1978. I had to solder and heat shrink new wiring harness onto these gauges to plug into the harness on the Goldwing. I mean on the 82. So that's all soldered and heat shrink and plugged into the harness. So if you want to change that front end back, you can just plug in your new front end. I had to put another fuse box in this thing, soldered in heat shrink. I took one out of the, I think it came out of the 78. But anyway, the tank is super clean on here. I painted the frame, painted it with a brush, Rust-Oleum, but you can't tell. It sounds pretty good. I like the way it sounds. I'm not going to crank it because you couldn't really tell, you know. You've all heard a Goldwing run before, but it's lightweight, and that's why I built it this way. I'm 61 years old, and I've got a GL1200 out on the carport, and it's I like to keep both of them, but the good Lord helps me work on these bikes, and I don't know, kind of fun. The engine's got about 77,000 miles on it, but and it's got some wear in the cylinders on the thrust side, because it's done evidently worked pretty hard with that sidecar, and it had a fairing. That fairing over there on the shelf was with it, was on it rather when I got it, and it had a trailer plug wired into the harness with an adapter on it, so I guess they had a trailer hitch on it. I'd never seen that. But at any rate, I just got it going. I've put about 300 miles on it since I've got it going, and it's fun to ride. But I've got wheel bearings coming for it, front and back. But anyway, just sharing. Thought there was something else I wanted to tell. One of the side covers came off of a 1980. I had to rethread with a SAE pipe thread to screw the sensor in to put this temp gauge in, but it works it works really good, and it sits good. It's fun to ride. It handles a little long with that. It feels a little long handling with that big front wheel on it. It's a little slow to respond, in my opinion, with that big front wheel, but I think it looks pretty cool. And I guess that's all I got to say. Good day, God bless.